So, I think today I want to talk a bit about the existential relief of having children. I recently read an article by a therapist about midlife existential crisis, and it really struck a chord. I've been in a slight limbo ever since I started my job. The limbo of what comes next is a real thing. It's easy to be single minded when I was in the process of finding my current job. For all I did were interviews, exercise, eat, and sleep. It took over 60 interviews to find a good fit for me. 60. It was all my life. And for some time, that's all I did. It was a stressful time, but then clouds lifted, and I am back to the daily grind of the 9 to 5. Sunday hits, and I get a slight melancholic view of the Sunday scaries. Defined as a form of anxiety where you worry about Monday and the upcoming week. More importantly, I was wondering about what this meant for my life. Is this what it's gonna be for the next 20 years? Just switching jobs and like picking vegetables at the market? What is the point of me trying to do this again and again? Never ends. It is a field I am interested in, which is great, but it would have otherwise been so intolerable. I am learning a lot, and I do enjoy parts of my day to day work. However, there is still this lingering gut feel of something missing. What's next? The keen part about being human, it is always forward looking, and there is always another mountain to climb, another house to buy, another kid to have. It's in the nature of our DNA. What's interesting about the article I read is this simple. People with kids tend to suffer less from existential crisis versus people without kids. The reason is simple. People with kids simply do not have the time to think about themselves, but rather allocate time for their kids, their lifestyle, and well being. That is not to say the void and emptiness aspect of things do not exist in people with kids. Perhaps, yes. They do feel a stronger sense of meaning, but what happens when kids leave the house? Maybe those feelings start coming back and they never had to address it until many years later. They could just live a blissful life for maybe a decade or two. Another way we can approach this is that we could say people without kids had to suffer through the void of meaning and had to find a solution for themselves quicker, for they had no other choice but to power through. Play around with their insecurities, their ideas, make mistakes, and figure things out the old fashioned way. What's also interesting is the author's comparison to work. It's better to have too much to do versus too little to do at work. It's kind of counterintuitive, but for those who have dealt with work boredom, this is actually pretty accurate. For there is nothing worse than being stuck at work, staring at a screen, knowing that you have absolutely nothing to do. And having too much to do in a way is a good thing because it gives meaning to your life. And Meaning is a powerful thing. But it's also interesting, and it's an interesting thought as I plan to have kids, and ideally in the next decade. And I've been feeling this void for a little time now. Perhaps it will disappear when I have kids, but I'm not the type to count on it. For me, it's clear. I need to start something of my own, even at a small scale, like this YouTube channel, something that I can call my own, a small corner of the world that I can say it is definitively mine. I think I just need to have the anxiety, the thrill of the unknown. I will probably make less money. Well, definitely less money initially. But over the long run, I think there's a non zero chance that I will make exponentially more money. But more importantly, a true sense of purpose in my life to provide economic value in my small, meaningful way. My 2 cents is this, right? My 2 cents is that this generation of kids tends to be a generation that tends to have a crisis of meaning. And it's for a very, very simple reason, and that's because we have choice. Choice. Our parents, and our grandparents did not. Back in the old day, you get married and have kids by 25. You pop up a few kids and you don't have time to think about anything. You don't have time for idle thoughts. You focus on survival. You make money. You need to make bread. You need to put food on the table. Kids nowadays, they have choice in their lives, in career, where to live, and how to live it. It's an absolutely amazing opportunity and freedom, but there isn't a strong anchor in their lives. There is no playbook to find that anchor, that rock that they can rely on, internally or externally. They have to find it themselves. And I think it'll be interesting to revisit this in the next couple of decades and observe how this generation evolves. Perhaps they will be more resilient, more differentiated, in touch with their emotions and themselves and who they are as a person. But only for those who take the time to go through the existential suffering process. And I call it a process because it is. It's not something that is obvious from the get go, something that you just gotta do it again and again until you find something that works for you. And I like to say it, it's like dogs. If they want a treat, they gotta learn how to sit. And with that, I'm signing off, and I hope you have a great day.